Hello, I am Fantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about my epic creature tier list for PvP within Creature Quest. So, with this tier list being completed, I will now have all 4 different sizes available, and I plan to integrate this into my bigger tier list posts moving forward, so you can see what is going to help make a better dungeon defender moving forward. Now, presently speaking, epic creatures are actually the weakest and least significant of all the sizes to take into account for dungeon defense rates because they only spawn on floor 2. And by only spawning on floor 2, they're most likely going to be eliminated because either attackers have died all on floor 1, so you don't need to use them, or B, they're going to enter floor 2 with mana and just use their own specials, and then you get mowed down very quickly. So unless there's like being changes or buffs made to floor 2, epic creatures are going to be a little lackluster for the most part. But with that being said, you still want to try and utilize the stronger creatures available. So, I don't know why I didn't click it and open. So here's the assumptions. Basically, with any tier list, I'm going to assume that everything is 4 combo dots, max awoken, max totemed, optimal enchants, and everyone has level 30 shrines. Obviously, that's not the case for every single player out there, but that's what we have to assume when we look at tier lists because it's assuming that you have every resource to draw upon in the game. So, being able to scale off of defense or attack is a little more meaningful. It gives you a little bit more staying power because they have the chance at least of benefiting from the 1 color rotating bonus within PvP. So with all that being said, epic creatures are really lackluster. Like as I said already before, they don't really feel much need because either you've died all on floor 1 or attackers enter floor 2 and have more than enough mana anyways. So it's going to be really hard to really justify their usage. Like, yes, you should still maybe develop and at least level them up, max awaken them. But if you're kind of starved for resources, it may not be as worth putting all your totems in there because they're not necessarily going to be your defender that's going to stop an attacker from coming through. Now, with that being said, epic creatures should be used as a more damage-oriented card because even though with shrines and enchants, small creatures actually can deal meaningful amounts of damage because they gain significantly higher outputs, epic creatures still had higher base stats to begin with, so they in theory can deal more damage overall. So with that in mind, I personally believe that epic creatures should be damage-oriented in nature. They can heal, they can buff, as long as they can do massive amounts of damage. So a pure healer is actually going to be quite lackluster. If you're a small and you have great healing and other secondary benefits, that can work out well. But for epics, I don't place value on that because you really need to be able to deal damage and hopefully try and at least one-shot something that comes in if you're lucky enough to get a special off. So, with that being said, all creatures here appear in a random order within each tier, so just look at all the A tier creatures to compare against those there. And again, assumes 4 combo dots and everything else optimized. So for the flying creatures and the epic size, we have nothing S ranked because nothing is really that meaningful, that much of a standout. Like, sure, they can be good, but none of them are just truly great. And that's why I'm leaving that category empty. And also because of the fact that the Dark Elf is just like miles ahead of any other epic creature in the game. Like, they're just so much better. So it's the only card that really can be truly an S tier creature. So for the flying, we have the Eye Gazer, which is that weird purple evil eye guy. We have the Sapphire Drake and the Draconic Gallant as A. And I honestly place those 3 creatures as the strongest defenders from a flying creature point of view. Cockatrice is still useful, but the problem is she doesn't do enough damage. Again, we want epic creatures to deal damage. Cockatrice does an AoE stun with a small single target damage. Sapphire Drake at least does larger amounts of damage to multiple creatures and has a better stun possibly overall. With that being said, the Light Elemental is just weaker than the Draconic Gallant because Draconic Gallant can scale off attack, so green attack weaks with bonus attack, he can actually deal formidable amounts of damage. He's also much more tanky by comparison, so it's just a stronger AoE damager overall. And again, the Eye Gazer is actually very high single target damage, which is good against white creatures, which are very meta, as well as stunning, so it's a very reliable flying creature. The B tiers can definitely be utilized well. Like, I do use some of those in the B tier, mostly because I have 3 4-dot Cockatrices and a 4-dot Water Elemental and a 4-dot Baboon. Like, I only pick and choose them, but like I found these ones are a little stronger overall. And again, if you have, say, a 4-dot of a lower tier creature and a 3-dot of a higher tier creature, you can kind of put them in similar brackets. For instance, a 4-dot B creature is probably comparable to a 3-dot A creature, so you could possibly interchange them in and out. But again, tier list does not take into account like the rotating color buff or any other dungeon synergy or basically what you feel that you've been covered in terms of colors. Like, for example, if you have like a very red heavy floor 1, you probably want to have something to deal with those blue creatures coming in, so a Cockatrice might be more meaningful as a yellow versus blue. Now, For the ground creatures, Dark Elf, hands down the best epic creature in the game, I feel, overall, from a dungeon defense point of view, possibly even from an attacking point of view, and almost in a PvE point of view. Dark Elves are amazing because they have the highest damage output of basically any single creature in the game, because they have an innately high chance to critically strike, and they do many hits along with a chance at dealing even more hits. So if even just half of the bonus hits land, you're already dealing more damage than any other creature, and then most of those are going to crit as well. So Dark Elves can easily explode and destroy any white creature. Like, it's not really a contest at all. And then they can almost one-shot even non-white creatures. So you can't really keep up with that. Like, other epics, sure, they can do cool stuff, but the fact that Dark Elf can just explode and destroy everything is why they're S tier. Like, the Naga is great, the Bighorn, like, they have good buffs, Senator, like, all the other A tiers are actually meaningful, but they can sometimes one-shot their color counter, not always, and that's what we really want from epics. We want them to be able to one-shot things and destroy them, and Dark Elf just does that better. Like, the Yeti does severely shut down a Phoenix, for example, but again, against other colors, he's not as spectacular by comparison. Again, most of that applies to the rest. The Beetle and the Walrus are the only exceptions because they have nice AoE damage with a reasonable hit alongside of it. And as we go further down, they become less and less meaningful for the most part. So, again, Dark Elf is S tier because it has the most potential to kill anything regardless of color, and their main drawback is the fact that they're a little more fragile by comparison. But hey, if you enter the floor and they're about to cast a special, your stun fails, something just died. They fulfilled their purpose. So basically that's also a reason why no one else is S tier, because nothing else is as meaningful. Like, yes, I know a lot of rares and commons can't one-shot their color counter, but that's expected at least. But on floor 2, you have to one-shot things right away because the attackers already have mana to cast their own specials, so if you're failing to kill something, you're not going to have a good time. So, in conclusion, like, epic creatures still play some role in dungeon defense, but they have the least impact overall. And again, you should try and utilize cards that have higher damage outputs. You don't want to use things that heal or resurrect because they're taking up space for someone that can kill something. So let me know what you think about this tier list in the comments below. Who do you think has been overranked or underranked, or who do you find has been of great success in your own dungeon defending points of view? Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. Wish you all the best of luck in your own Creature Quest adventures, and happy questing.